BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello and welcome to episode 548 of BRB UK. I am Coleman and I'll be your captain on this here ship that we like to call the Nautical BRB UK. Hi! Dan's not here this week, but we do have a Timothy Hibbs.
Dan isn't here because he's in the last year of his contract and we've sold him to Saudi Arabia so he can get more money.
Oh no.
That's a football joke.
Just like the QE2.
It's a football joke.
We're going to turn him into a hotel.
But there you go.
I like my one.
Okay.
I like my one where he's a disused cruise ship that is being turned into a hotel. Let's do that.
You do like the nautical theme at the moment, don't you? With badly timed submarine jokes.
I do.
Going down like a sinking ship last week.
May have cut some jokes out last week just before the show went live. Because of news. Because of news, Tim. News can be topical and news can be gruesome.
Yes, and last week's shorter show seemed to go down well. We're doing well on the YouTube numbers at least. And we're doing about the same on audio as far as I know, but YouTube numbers seemingly doing well.
We're fine. Okay, so if you look out to your port, we've got the news, and if you look out starboard, we've got video games to be talking about. And Tim, you have been playing Masternoid, which is a PlayStation VR 2 game. Quelle surprise!
Yeah.
More VR from the Hibbs.
Yes. Sorry, I was going to try and play some flat screen stuff in time, but yeah, Coleman was like, well, we could record early, and I would have only got to play like half an hour or something anyway, so hey. I am downloading...
you said let's record early.
I know. I suggested it because it's good for you and it means you don't have to stay up till stupid o'clock in the morning editing, which I always feel bad for you doing.
But I will.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Fist came to Game Pass today, though, so I'm downloading that. I'll hopefully play some of that before next week because I've been interested in playing that for a while, and that's now on Game Pass, so that might be one I get to play in time for next week. Although I was really having a hard time deciding between starting that and then starting the two games I've downloaded on Game Pass that will probably be disappearing sooner than that, and that's Wolong or Atomic Heart. I really was in two minds as to what to play, and by the time I hadn't decided that, you were like, oh yeah, let's record early. So I was like, okay, let's do that instead. I know, cool story and everything, but hey. But Masternoid I won't talk about too much because I did talk about it in a bumper-long episode of VRB, which Kev and I recorded last night, but won't be coming out until after this episode because we want to keep Coleman sane and have his bedtime at a reasonable time, and we only recorded that late last night. But yeah, I just wanted to give it a shout-out, especially as I mentioned it on Twitter, and the dev responded to me saying, oh, thanks for mentioning our game. Yeah, we kind of shadow dropped it because we suck at marketing. So I kind of want to...
fair enough.
Yeah, kind of give it a bit of a shout out, not least because it's a really cool little game. I played the demo and there's a free trial version that you can play. And I played a bit of the demo and I was only about halfway through the demo where I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely buying this. And then, yeah, I actually played through the 5 levels it gives you to start with first. Then I went away and read the instructions. Then I learned there was a mechanic in the game I wasn't even using. So I went back through the levels, played it again. Like, I was quickly got to grips with it and was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then bought the game straight away, basically. And yeah, it's a Arkanoid style game, but there's a few differences to it as well. It's in a kind of 3D environment and you've got like a 3D shape that you're kind of knocking away at to try and kind of, sort of remove blocks. It's hard to describe because the various different shapes kind of all respond quite differently, but that means there's quite a difference to each level as you're going through it as well. But it's a kind of odd shaped arena as well, so bouncing it off the walls or the ceiling or the floor gives rise to different angles as well. So it's a bit hard to predict what's going on with it a lot of time. That gets really hectic because if you fire the ball at a block, it releases a kind of little circle of like a bonus thing. And if you then get the ball back to that place quickly, it picks those up and that adds to an overall thing that can unlock multi-balls. As far as I know, that only goes up to 3, but you get like two extra balls on top of the one that you got to start with. That's when it can get really hectic, because when they're all flying around and coming off at different angles, that can be hectic to get used to. But then they can also go in combination with the bonuses you can unlock, and they are sort of randomly unlocked just for hitting various blocks as you're going. But the particularly useful one there when you've got the multi-ball thing is a thing it calls Dome, but it's a big sphere that surrounds the shape that you're attacking, and all the balls just bounce around in that sphere, so they bounce around extra quick, and they're more likely to hit things multiple times in quick succession, which is again good for your combo bonus, which gets you more like that multi-ball bonus type stuff, but also adds to your score.
Multi-ball.
And then there's other various different things. There's like an electric ball, which I haven't entirely figured out what it does. There's a fireball that can like burrow through things instead of like bouncing off the first thing you hit. It'll burrow all the way through the different levels of voxels rather than blocks, I should possibly say. But yeah, if you can imagine like a 3D voxel version of Arkanoid, where you're breaking blocks in a 3D manner, the extra mechanic I described that I learned only from reading the manual after I'd played it to start with is that as you are bouncing the ball back, you can give it a bit of a flick with your wrist, and that kind of arcs it in the direction you're doing it. So you've got a bit of aiming it from where it's going, and that gives you a lot more control over where you're aiming for. And just that extra little mechanic gives it another kind of skill level that really kind of opens up the game and makes it really enjoyable when you get into it as well. And when all those things are comboing together and like you're getting through stuff in extra quick time and getting an extra good score, like it really tickles those brain cells that kind of fire all the good things in your brain that video games empower you to kind of, feel godlike in terms of being good at the game and kind of make you feel good. So yeah, like it's just kind of simple but effective gameplay. Even though it's quite a simple game, it's like well designed. The one thing I didn't mention on BRB as well, it's got like a really good little soundtrack as well. Kind of really 80s themed. Like it sounds like the kind of very synth heavy kind of 80s stuff that you get in Stranger Things, the stuff that isn't like the original music as opposed to the music that they've licensed, basically, like Kate Bush and all that stuff. But the kind of the stuff that's the background music for Stranger Things, it very much reminds me of that. I think that's just because that's, the synth heavy 80s stuff that I've had in recent memory.
The OST, if you will.
Yes, and you unlock more songs as you get further in the game as well. That kind of works in conjunction with the style of graphical presentation as well. And the whole package just comes out really nicely as well. So I've only gone through the first 15 or so levels on that, I think now. And it seems like each letter of Masternoid, so you're in M to start with, and you go on to A, S, T, etc., etc. And it seems like each of those contains 5 levels, so it seems like there's a fair bit to the game as well. Highly recommend it. If you're a PSVR owner, there is a free trial, as I said. I believe there's, it's on Quest. I would imagine there's a free trial on Quest as well. So if you've got either of those, play it at some point, see if you like it as much as I did. And it's only like £12. That's why it was an easy kind of impulse purchase after I did play the trial and liked it so much. So yeah, it's an easy recommendation.
Okay, that was Masternoid on PlayStation VR, but also available on Oculus Quest, whatever version I'm assuming. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm going to bring this one over because we were meant to talk about this a couple of weeks ago, and then it got pushed back, and I believe you were going to talk about this as well at one point. Planet of Lana. I believe this came to Game Pass. We covered it previously on our EGX episode last year in October, I want to say. And this was one of the games in the show that I was particularly looking forward to because it's a 2D puzzle platformer in the same kind of vein as, say, a Flashpoint or Another World, which are two games that I really enjoyed as a child and have revisited many a times in my life. So this one I picked up, I know, although it is available on Game Pass, I believe this is one that I picked up for Steam because I wanted to play it on the Missive Deck.
That makes sense.
And I have been playing it on my Steam Deck, and this is the best way to play the game as far as I can tell. I don't know if it's available on Switch. I'll assume not. I should look into that though. So you play a young girl who is part of a tribe on a planet, and all of a sudden The planet is invaded by aliens who have technologies where you're more a type of tribes girl. And aliens start capturing humans and the people of the planet, which I assume are kind of humanish, humans and wildlife and all kinds of things, and they're enslaving them for some godly known reason. You end up going away from your village to play, and then this kind of alien invasion happens, and on your way back to the village, everyone is gone, everyone is captured. You see the last few remnants of people getting rounded up. And along your travels, you meet a wildlife creature who's like a kind of cat-like creature who is being captured. You free it, and it becomes your little companion along the way. And then it's up for you to go through the story, and it's got that kind of limbo aesthetic to it, which is another game similar to this one, actually, where it's sort of show don't tell with the characters. Like, all the characters are mute and everything going around you is foreground and background. It's kind of, you got to piece everything together by what is happening around you and find out along the way. It is a beautiful game. It is a very fun game. It is at times an incredibly frustrating game, because you'll find a lot of traps where there are literally traps up to set up to capture your little cat friend that can take it away and cause like a game over screen, or you have to free it. But there's also these alien robot things running around trying to capture you, and can be very difficult to avoid. But there's always a way of doing it, because it's a specific kind of puzzle type game. If you've ever played one of these types of games, I strongly recommend it if you are if you're a fan more so of the puzzles than the platforming. When people say platforming, they think like a Mario or a Crash Bandicoot or a Sonic. That is a fast-paced platformer. This is a puzzle platformer. It is a heavy emphasis on the puzzles, but a very beautiful game and a very fun game. So Planet of Lana, available now. I think it's £15-20. I would say it's totally worth it. But once again, I'm pretty sure it's available on Game Pass. If that is the case, go give it a go.
I have a question, Mr. Coleman, but I also have some information to give beforehand.
Yes.
While you were saying that, I just looked it up. It is only available on Xboxes, although all of the Xboxes, Xbox One, Series S and X.
The Xbox family of consoles, Tim.
And cloud gaming and Microsoft Windows. But it is not available on other places, presumably because they may have paid them not to be.
Okay. Well, it is available on Steam.
Yeah. My question is,
Yes.
when you said it's kind of reminiscent of, say, Flashback and that style of game, is it
Yes.
is it a similar kind of, as you say, like a slower platform? There's not really, because that had sort of jumping mechanics and kind of platform elements where you had to do semi-precise jumping like that, or say a Prince of Persia type thing. But is it just literally like exploratory and pathfinding, like puzzle solving? There's no actual kind of dexterity to the platforming, basically.
There is more dexterity to the platforming. It's more along the lines of a Limbo and Inside than it is than Flashpoint and Another World. Those are just kind of my go-to games, but those were very precise, and you had to be very meticulous in the way that you played it, because it was literally made to be played a specific way. Whereas Limbo had a little bit more kind of even though you had to do it the same way each time, it had a little bit more give into the way that you had your mechanics in that game, you placements in jumping and what have you. So yeah, it's a little bit more faster paced along those lines, but still very much heavy emphasis into the puzzling over the platform. And it's a definite recommend. So Planet of Lana, go check it out. The other one I've been playing, and unfortunately not enough of, but Final Fantasy XVI is here. It's upon us. We were talking about this last week because we both tried the demo out. And I was going to be playing the main game, I was hoping, but it didn't arrive in time. I finally have it. I've only put probably about 6 or 7 hours into the game, which is a lot less than you want to be doing for a Final Fantasy game. It's just, unfortunately, time is not on my side. So I won't go into it too deep, but I will say, if you've not played a Final Fantasy game and you've been looking for one, I know, with the Final Fantasy games, though the stories aren't linked, but there are themes in the worlds that are kind of linked. Some characters might have the same names. There are creatures that are the same, the chocobos. There are always some kind of summons. There's materia, stuff that might carry over into different games. And this is one of those. There are going to be similarities you see. One of the big ones that everyone's passing around is every game has a character called Sid, And this one is a
Right.
very big deal because it is probably the best Sid we've ever had, according to a lot of people. But the cool thing about Final Fantasy is you can pick up any one of the mainline games and go, yes, I want to try Final Fantasy for the first time. Let's give it a go. And you'll probably get something out of it because each one is slightly different but similar. Different but similar, which is a weird way to say it. And this is one where it's probably the most approachable one for you to get into. As we were talking last week, there was one of the guys behind the Devil May Cry series that's been involved in this with the fighting mechanics of the game. So this one, for a little while now, Final Fantasy has been steering more into the kind of Kingdom Hearts style of gameplay. We're long gone are the turn-based menu systems, and you're doing more attack-based stuff. We saw it with Final Fantasy VII Remake and about to see with Rebirth. And it's taking that, but it's making it more fast-paced, more friendly and approachable, and especially if you add those accessibility options we were talking about last week, even more friendly and approachable. But yes, if you're looking for a Final Fantasy game to be picking up, this could possibly be the one to get you into those games. And I like what they've done with the changes of mechanics to, much like as we were talking with Street Fighter a little while ago as well. They've kind of made it more available to the masses with the changes that they've implemented it and made it a lot less kind of sit-down, text-heavy menu type system things. This one, if you've not seen, there is a big kind of focus on this fictional world of Valstithia. I can't even say it now. Valstithia, I think it's called, which is basically Final Fantasy Westeros, because you've got medieval fantasy setting. All your characters are British. Everyone swears.
Final Fantasy.
There's a particular. There is a
Filthy
subclass
fantasy.
of character which you play, and everyone wants to shout, put down the lower class and all this kind of stuff. So there's, I haven't watched all of Game of Thrones, but from what I understand, there's a lot of similarities into kind of the setting and the way they've done things. Everything's muddy and English looking.
Even from the demo, you could tell that all of the devs have sat down and watched Game of Thrones and went, let's put more of this in it. Like, it does seem to be... And
let's do that.
I don't know, has this been the case before, but it seems to be that from what I know of Final Fantasy, which is fairly limited, like 7, and I've seen bits of the more recent ones, 14 and 15 and 12 and 13 before that. But it always seemed to me that they seem to be a kind of muddying the waters of time, because it was a fantasy-based setting, but they seem to be like elements of like future technology, but kind of set in a more ruralized kind of setting, as if there was a clash of future and past at the same time. That doesn't seem to be the case in this one. This seems to be almost a medieval style kind of setting, basically.
Yeah, they've really leaned into the name of Final Fantasy being the optimal word being fantasy, because it is a medieval fantasy setting type game.
Yeah.
Whereas, as you say, some of my favorite things about the Final Fantasy games previous, especially with 7 and 8 and 10 and 13, it's like there's sort of bits of our world thrown into this fantastical world, and some like dirty technology, and then mixed with beautiful, luscious green hills and all this kind of stuff mixed together, fantastical monsters, and some of the monsters carry over and stuff. But yeah, I've always liked that stuff, and then this one they just seem to have gone cover it all in mud and castles.
Didn't 15 have a lot of like elements that took place as like a boys road trip type thing? I've seen lots of memes and references to that being a thing.
Yeah, and I never played 15 because 15 was literally you and your boys in a car, and your car breaks down every now and then, and you got to fight monsters. And then really weird things was real world product placements just stuck in there, like Coleman's camping equipment and super noodles and all these kind of things. The real world things they just threw in there and went, there you go. It's kind of like Calorie Mate in Metal Gear, but that wasn't fantastical. That was real life, Tim. And based on real life, Tim. And this one it seems like all the product placement-y type stuff, the kitschy kind of things that they were throwing in previously are gone, and they try to treat it a lot more adult and seriously. That's why everyone swears now. What I like about this, they've been doing this in Final Fantasy for a little while. In 7, if you remember, you collected materia, and if you got that, you could if you got the specific types, then you could summon the summons, as they're called.
Yeah.
And then over the games, they've kind of kept that system in, but they've changed it slightly. And it existed before 7, but this is kind of how my introduction was. You collected a thing, then you got these summons. And then as the games went on, they went, actually, you have to fight those creatures and then befriend them or they'll enslave them or whatever. Kind of like really violent Pokemon.
Massive violent Pokemon.
Yeah, and this one's different because like the main character, not to give away too many spoilers, but the main character kind of transforms into one of the summons. And then later on, you're fighting different summons, and they're like if you remember from the demo, the game opens up with kind of a battle between Ifrit and Phoenix, and then later on you get the kind of battle between, I think it was Titan and Shiva. So and they're sort of done as these huge, larger than life massive creatures fighting each other. Aeons, I believe they're calling them in this one, and which I think is a name that's been used previously. But yeah, all that stuff is very fascinating. The reason I don't want to go too much into story stuff is not just because I haven't put enough hours into it to go too depth into story, but it seems more like a lot of the advertising and a lot of the reviews and all this kind of stuff have been very careful in what they say about the game. I know without playing the demo, I could have gone, I have no idea what this game is about. I just know that there's that one guy who does who's Finchy in the British office. I want to play this game because he voices Sid, and I like that voice actor, even though his name escapes me off the top of my head. What I will tell you is, you kind of very basic outline. You are a son of a king called Clive, which is the most down-to-earth name of any Final Fantasy character, let alone a main character in this game, who isn't like the next in line for the throne, but he's like the protector of the next in line of the throne, your younger brother. Anyway, things happen. Stuff goes awry, and you end up losing your royal status, and you're kind of and you become like a sort of subclass. You're no longer a royal, and you get this branding that's on your face. You'll see a lot of that with the Final Fantasy XVI marketing, and that then means that everyone just treats you like arse and just talks to you like you're subservient. It's very interesting, and you're that's the character of this the main character of this game that you control. Clive, the least looking twinkie, metrosexual type character that we've ever seen in a mainline Final Fantasy. Clive. The most down-to-earth Final Fantasy character. Yes. Really enjoying it. Hope to play more of it.
Yep. I mean, as I said, I think we spoke about it last week. I may pick it up at some stage, but I'm not in a rush to do so. But it seems like I'm in a minority there almost, because 3 million people have picked up a copy already in the opening week. So that is a good bit of opening week sales. I don't know how that compares to previous games opening weeks, but that seems pretty good. And I don't know if you saw as well, but they did a nice promotional thing as well. That you can go and see a replica of the sword from the game, I believe Clive's sword, I assume, or some sort of sword from the game, but in the Tower of London.
You're right. It's Clive's sword Invictus from Final Fantasy XVI can now be viewed in real life at the Tower of London. And one of my favorite things about this is that the promotional image is a beefeater standing there with a Final Fantasy sword. That's amazing. So until the 19th of July, you can go see that sword at the Tower of London. I might go see that. London, baby. What we're living here and all.
Yep.
Seems rude not to. I'd be interested to see how it stacks up against 15 in the sales. Not that I'm really interested in sales, but the thing that I remember being a big thing on the launch of Final Fantasy 15 was that a lot of places were selling it like a brand new AAA release for £25, which is half the price of a regular RRP game. Although I think the 60 was like the regular RRP at the time as well. And then this time it's been dropped in price to 50 for physical discs, but that's not uncommon, especially if you're looking like supermarkets these days. What I will say is when a game like this tends to sell absolutely huge numbers to begin with, they do seemingly go down in price quicker. Especially when you look in supermarkets and what have you. So you might want to hold off a little bit if you're not in the urgency to be playing this game straight away, Tim. But yeah, it is Very good. I hope to play a lot more of it when I have a little bit more downtime in my life, which I'm working on. We'll get there. But yeah, Final Fantasy 16, really, really good. Let us know your opinions in the comments and in our Discord and Facebook and Twitter and all those kind of things that you can talk to us in. Even YouTube. Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Right. Those are the games that we have played for this week, being Masternoid, Lana, and Final Fantasy 16. And now we're going to go over to the topics, our news, our headlines, the things we are talking about. And Tim, the big news this week is the Microsoft FTC trial. Oh, yes. And there are many reasons why this is big news, because evidence keeps getting put forward and different documents and things to be taking a look at. And seemingly as this goes on, more and more stuff is getting leaked out. I saw there was things about like the PlayStation's budget for The Last of Us Part 2 and Horizon Burning Shores were out there for some reason. It's like, yeah, the games have big budgets if they're AAA.
Yeah,
first
I
party.
didn't see exactly
who
what it related to, but I saw a number of people criticizing the person who redacted things on behalf of Sony not doing a very good job of redacting a lot of the information that should have been redacted.
Yeah, I saw that, and it was very poorly written as well, was the other thing. I don't know if it was hastily put together or, I maybe just scrappy notes that were just kind of typed up. But the big kind of news this week is that today, as we're recording, is the day that Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard, took to the sorry Tim, Activision Blizzard King.
Thank you.
Happy now?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. We did it that time.
We like accuracy.
Took to the stand to and you can read this in a bunch of different places. He was giving his getting his interrogation. He was giving his 2 cents on what's going on at the moment. The big talking point seemed to be that Bobby Kotick doesn't want to make Call of Duty exclusive. Mm-hmm. Says it makes no sense taking money off the table by just keeping it exclusive to Xbox. He admitted that he was unimpressed with the Nintendo Switch prototypes, which is why Activision didn't really support Nintendo Switch out the gate, and has since admitted that he was wrong since the launch of the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
I kind of admit he's right this late in Nintendo Switch, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And PlayStation would be fine if the acquisition goes through.
Yes,
so
that's
kind of, I think that's why there's been some holes kind of poked in how much PlayStation spends on their AAA games and how much they make out of them and all that kind of stuff. Also, if they were to keep the multi-platform for Call of Duty, then degrading a PlayStation version of Call of Duty wouldn't make sense at all.
Wouldn't be the first time that Microsoft did similar, but yeah.
Some might argue that they already do this anyway with not degrading the game itself, but withholding of content due to platform timed exclusivity. So we've seen this with Call of Duty for the longest time. When it was a Microsoft exclusive, if you wanted all the multiplayer maps and things, you bought them on Xbox first, and then after a certain period of time, they would come to PlayStation, and then vice versa when it became a PlayStation exclusive, and now it's owned by Microsoft. It's going to be most likely owned by Microsoft. I can see them doing that again if they keep it multi-platform. The other bit of news is that there's a Call of Duty Warzone mobile game coming this fall.
You got mobile phones, don't you?
They are supporting. You got mobile phone, don't you? I think that's to kind of go, hey, Warzone's really big and it's available on the console, the two big consoles, and on the PC. But look, it comes to mobile phone as well. That just proves that we're looking to support more and more platforms and not doing what PlayStation said.
Right. I don't know if that's just for anyone that doesn't know, and I don't like to judge people by how they look, but Bobby Kotick does look like an evil sort of goblin. So that makes me slightly more distrustful of him.
That is true.
Also, all of his actions and everything he's ever done in the past make me not trust him as a person. So there's that as well, basically. But that means that...
He does look like he was kind of grown from the ground like the Urukai.
Yes, exactly. Like plucked out of the earth. Yeah. Just washed him, dragged him through a business suit, kicked him into ABK.
Allegedly, he was created by Saruman the White.
That is unsubstantiated.
Why did they ask him that on the stand?
Yeah, I don't trust a word that comes out of Bobby Kotick's mouth, and I wouldn't generally anyway, possibly. But then I especially don't trust him to say anything honest when it comes to this deal, because he is massively, heavily financially motivated to say anything to make this deal go through. And he has proved time and time again throughout his career that he will do anything if he is massively financially motivated. So I think you could take anything he said with a pinch of salt. So the whole thing about the Nintendo Switch, okay, he may say that he was unimpressed, and then him saying that he was wrong, I think he's only saying that because it gives him an excuse for not supporting it over and above it wasn't worth us supporting it and we decided not to, and we went with the two people that gave us lots of money to support things. Like, anything else he says makes it sound like they were more in bed with other people, and he doesn't want to be admitting to that kind of now. Him saying they don't want to make it an exclusive is complete and utter BS, because Xbox are like, it doesn't matter if you don't want to make an exclusive. I don't think he's going to be there after the whole acquisition goes through. I think most people think that's probably going to be the case. He might stay on to oversee the transition or whatever, but I don't think he'll be there long term.
Yeah.
He's going to sell up and go. And Microsoft are heavily financially motivated to make it, like, maybe not financially motivated as a owner of ABK and as a responsible owner, but they've proved, and they are proving right now with Starfield, which, you know, is possibly the most relevant example, with multiple games that are coming out of Bethesda, they have proved that they are willing to take the financial loss of not having it on their competitor's platform to make it a selling point for their platform. They have proved that with Bethesda. That is the most recent massive acquisition that kind of has a, you know, a one-to-one kind of thing with the buying of ABK. So for them to say that, like, it doesn't matter if Bobby Kotick says that. Your opinion won't matter going forward. And Microsoft have proved most recently they are willing to do exactly that, basically. They cancelled a lot of PlayStation versions of Bethesda games immediately after taking over.
So Starfield's kind of getting used as the example at the moment, and that is the thing that got kind of called out in court. But before that, I know it allegedly not a great game. I won't say it is a great game or not because, I've never played it, but Redfall, the vampire shooter type game that was Xbox exclusive and launched in Game Pass and all that kind of stuff, and none of us played it. That was the one where the devs were doing an interview and literally said, hey, we were making a PlayStation version of this, and Xbox came in and said, nope, cancel that. Focus solely on Xbox. And a lot of good it did them, because allegedly isn't very good. Yes. So yeah, we are seeing kind of the sentiment where I don't know if, initially they went, hey, we've got Call of Duty, it's locked into a contract with PlayStation, and we will honor that contract. And over time, it seems to have gone, like the sentiment, without overly confirming it, sort of gone, hey, yeah, of course we'll support other platforms going forward. By the way, we're working on a Nintendo version of the game now. For what version Nintendo we won't say, but we're working on Nintendo versions of Call of Duty again. And
I doubt that'll be on
they kind
Switch,
of imply that it's going to be... No, I'm hoping not either. There's this idea that they're going to keep on supporting PlayStation, and I don't see why you wouldn't. Xbox have brought out Cuphead on multiple platforms. They've brought out
Minecraft,
Ori, and the Blind Forest. Like Minecraft, the big one. Like they brought that out on absolutely everything. Even though, and when Xbox bought Mojang, we did think that it was just going to be an Xbox and PC type thing, but no, they not only kept it on other platforms, but they brought it to new platforms after the acquisition as well.
Yeah.
So when they were initially talking about this Xbox merger type thing, purchase, I really thought that they might keep games multi-platform that are already multi-platform, because it makes sense. You make more money at your competitors, especially when you look at, I know the Xbox have this huge share with Game Pass, but the biggest seller, not just in console, but in game sales, is through PlayStation. And wouldn't you want to make the revenue through your competitors if they're making more money than you in sales?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You want to claw that bit of that back, I'd expect. And it would, Xbox seems to be getting less and less into the idea of the big hardware, manufacturer, and they want to go more like the cloud-based. set-top boxes and plugins for your TVs,
Right.
and then eventually, and now we got apps for the TVs, and it seems to be they're kind of trying to future-proof for where the game industry could go, whereas PlayStation are sticking with the immediate, and you'd expect Xbox to kind of go all on board with that as being a publisher.
And I could see, I could see them possibly not bringing out a console in the next generation of consoles. I would have thought it's less likely. There's more likely to be a console of theirs in the next generation. But I wouldn't be entirely surprised if there was just PlayStation and Nintendo going forward, and Xbox just publish their games on both platforms, and as you said, on other platforms, be that through cloud or gaming or whatever. Yeah, we've seen quite a few other people taking the stand this week in this court case as well. We saw more details come out with Jim Ryan and with Phil Spencer, both taking the stand and giving some more evidence. The one thing I'll say is one of the things that seemed to come out is that one of the things that may have motivated Microsoft into the purchase of ABK is that there were either rumors or possible actual going forward that PlayStation were trying to get Call of Duty as an exclusive for PlayStation. And that may have motivated them into do the deal because they couldn't not have that on their platform. So as much as like saying that, it's sort of preventing them for Microsoft didn't want it to be exclusive to their platform, they're actually possibly stopping it being the reverse. And we saw them honoring a couple of things that were PlayStation exclusives after they took over Bethesda. So we had Ghostwire Tokyo and what was the other one? The time loop one.
Flip. That was a really good game. What the hell was the name of that? That was called something to do with time.
Deathloop.
And Bethesda. Deathloop. Thank you very much.
So those two were originally scheduled to be PlayStation exclusives, and I think they only got a year of exclusivity in the end, and then they came to Xbox. Now, I don't know if that was originally going to be the case anyway, or whether that only happened as a result of Xbox taking them over, basically.
I think those were originally timed exclusives anyway. It's just it was meant to be kept quiet, quieter than it would have been if Xbox and Bethesda didn't get into this deal. But yeah, those were meant to be big deals because they were two Bethesda games that got announced the same time as PlayStation's new console at the same event. And then not even 6 months into Ghostwire Tokyo being out, all this kicks off, goes, by the way, in fact, Deathloop, I remember some people didn't buy Deathloop because they were just going, it's going to be on Xbox in 12 months because Xbox said so.
Yeah. I think I was one of them.
And then they didn't say so with Ghostwire. Yeah, and Ghostwire Tokyo, I know it was the same with Ghostwire Tokyo, but it wasn't, I don't know if that took some wind out the sails of Deathloop upon launch, but because I know I picked it up and I know Dan picked it up, but I know there are others like yourself that didn't do it. But they announced that before the launch of the game. Yeah. With Ghostwire Tokyo, I don't know if something was put in place to go, you can't say this until at least the day of release. Because all of a sudden, it was very quiet. A lot of people were speculating whether it would come to Xbox or not in a year. It's like, yeah, it clearly will. And it will come to Game Pass. Unfortunately, it had the worst version on Xbox. It didn't perform very well on their own console. Yeah. But it did happen. And you could play it included in the price of your Game Pass subscription. You're going to see a lot of weird stuff coming out while this FTC trial is going on. One tidbit I did see that I've stuck in the notes very quickly. DayZ 2 is in development by the looks of it. Bohemia Interactive is apparently working on the sequel. This is all leaked out from a court document from that said trial. So we don't have any other information on that just yet, but we shall keep an eye and an ear out because I don't know if you ever tried DayZ, Tim, but that was originally I think it was an Arma 2 mod, and then that did so well that they created a standalone game. Be quiet. And that came out as a standalone game. I played that. It was quite intensive for my little lappy at the time. And then I think eventually it came to Xbox One. I remember them announcing it. I don't know if it ever actually came into fruition. But yeah, a sequel to that comes to consoles as well as PC. I could see that being an interesting thing. But yeah, we'll keep an eye out for more news that comes out from this court case because it's still going on as we speak at the moment. Now, Tim,
Yes.
You were a fan. I remember we've spoken about it a few times on the show of the Smash Brothers style type platform fighter known as MultiVersus.
Yes.
Warner Brothers MultiVersus, which, considering they launched in beta, or early access if you want. They sold DLC, they sold characters, They had season passes, battle passes, all that kind of stuff. It seemed very much like this was a launched game and early access by name. And at some point they'll just go version 1.0 and you just carry on as normal.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I think late last year or early this year, we got the announcement, hey, MultiVersus is going to shut down until early 2024.
Bizarrest
and
decision.
That's now happened.
Yeah.
I know, especially because usually if you do this, you refund players.
Yeah.
You give them or some kind of credit or goodwill or something to kind of say, sorry, you invested money into this thing that we had no intention of keeping open.
Yeah.
So this is we don't know if it will stay down until 2024. It might never come back again for all we know. But this has been shut down. There are no refunds issued on the DLC characters or microtransactions or battle passes or anything like that at all.
Yeah.
MultiVersus has gone until next year.
See, this is one of those things. I played it in beta early on and quite liked it. Like, I liked the characters. I liked the way some of it worked. I actually got into a Smash-style game, which I hadn't really done before, thanks to this. But why I stopped playing it is I hated the business model and the way they tried to entice you into spending money. Basically, what you do is you'd be playing a character and leveling it up, and then all of a sudden, that character would be locked, and you couldn't play as that character anymore.
Yes.
And I'm like,
the League of Legends model.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not the way I want to play a game. Like, if I'm enjoying playing as a character and I've been playing as that character, I don't expect to have an artificial barrier put in the way of me playing that character. That is stupid. And them retracting and pulling this game out completely makes me extra glad that I didn't give them any money. So when they bring this back, it's not going to encourage me to give them any money. Like, this smacks of a business decision made by a stupid person that doesn't know how video games work, or at least doesn't know how gamers respond to video games. It's just the bizarrest business decision I've ever heard of. The only thing I can think of is that they are going away from the free-to-play model and they're planning on bringing this out as a one-off purchase game, which I can entirely make sense of. But if you're not doing anything to encourage the goodwill of the people that have already invested in it, good luck at selling this game to people again. Like this, I don't understand what you've done. Like, no.
Something I wish that had kept around. It was kind of tested. It was tested out in the launch of Xbox One. There was something I really liked the idea of that didn't really catch on, and that was Killer Instinct.
Yes,
they made a brand new Killer Instinct. And they went, hey, you can spend $39.99 and have this game and all the characters and have it as like it's a full price game. You get everything as you would in a normal game. However, you can download this for free. You get 2 characters, and then any other characters you want, you buy them piecemeal.
Yeah.
So if you just want to buy this game, it's like if you play Mortal Kombat. When I play Mortal Kombat, I play Liu Kang, and that's it.
Yeah,
I could then, quite easily go, I want to buy Mortal Kombat for free, and I spend, I don't know, £5 or £1.99 or wherever the hell it is on Liu Kang, and I'm golden. I will enjoy the hell out of this game. I'm surprised that never caught on more because I thought it was a really good idea. But yes, MultiVersus, I could fully well see them doing exactly what you said, just relaunching it, selling it as an entire fully done game, assuming there's either if you made a purchase of so much, then you get the game for free, or if you, or God forbid, they go, you pay a bit more for an upgrade. Who knows? We'll see what happens if that launches again next year. But it's an interesting thing that's going on with that, but especially because like Warner Brothers has been very weird over the last year. I don't want to touch too much into their business practices, but we saw a year where they released 2 movies because they were canceling movies left, right, and center and selling them off and shutting them down fully and getting tax breaks and all this kind of stuff, like trying to take advantage. And yeah, can't really explain as to why, because that's not something we're privy to. But the same was going on with video games. If you remember, we were talking about it on here. It looked like they were looking to sell off different studios and properties and things that they had. I don't know if MultiVersus just kind of got caught up in that.
Maybe.
They seem to have been going two different ways at the same time. In that kind of period where they were doing that Space Jam Legacy, the sequel to Space Jam, and they went, here's absolutely every property we have, stick it in a film. They kind of did that with this game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they were planning on one thing and then had to shift to a different thing, but we'll see what goes on. But yeah,
I don't
interesting
understand
that happened.
how, like, not releasing a movie makes financial sense from a tax purpose or any other way. And like, I don't understand how this makes sense either. So I don't understand Warner Brothers business model in general, I guess. Like, but it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But yeah.
Yeah. Something that doesn't make sense to me, but I'm sure it does for a business sense, at least to bean counters and what have you. BioWare, we love BioWare. They've made such great games. They've made a lot of the Star Wars games that we like, the current MMO, the Old Republic. They, of course, the flipping Mass Effect and Jade Empire and lots of stuff that we love. Unfortunately, it was rumored a couple of months back that BioWare was going to see some layoffs because of course, we love Anthem. Yes.
We all bought it, although I bought it for a $5 and never opened it.
Dan bought it at full price, I believe.
Yeah.
You bought it for a $5. I got gifted it, and it was still in the cellophane. So that shows how much love went into that game. Should we do it? Oh, Dan's not here. Let's do a quick price check.
Oh, price check. How much is Anthem worth now? I'm going to guess £3.
Let's look at PS4 version of Anthem. Oh my God, you're not bad. You're not too far off, Tim.
Yep.
Okay, so Anthem right now, if you go to, and I'm not aware of this website, but if you go to World of Books right now, you can get it for £3.29 on PlayStation 4.
Nice.
Now, the question is it worth it?
No.
If you and 4 friends buy a copy for £3.29 each, and providing the servers are still open, I'm assuming they are, I can't remember, I reckon you could get a solid weekend of fun out of that. I'd say that's worth £3.29.
I'm going to throw it open to the listeners.
Yeah.
This week, should I play Inscription, which I've downloaded? Should I play Wolong and Thanks for All the Fish? Should I play... What was the other ones I mentioned? Atomic Heart? Or what was the one I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I started downloading as well that just came out on Xbox? Oh, Fist. Should I play that? Or should I go back and play Anthem? Whoever gives me the more answers is the game I'll play this week. Forged in something.
Everyone say Anthem. BRB Tim on Twitter. Go say Anthem.
Anthem.
Fist, that's the rabbit in the mech, right?
Yes. I just want to see what the mech
I've had
rabbit
that for a
is
long
all
time.
about.
I still haven't played it.
Yep.
I heard it wasn't very good.
I resisted
I've
buying
had it for a while.
I heard mixed things. That's why I'm curious. So that's why it was on my list of things to play.
Anyway, while we were talking about that, so a couple of months ago, it was announced that Star Wars: The Old Republic, which was that's the MMO, that still is the MMO of Star Wars, has actually gone to a different publisher, and this has happened in the past. A lot of different MMOs get kind of passed around. I mean, Sony used to have DC Universe Online, and that got passed off to a different publisher. And it seems like Ultima Online, all that entire back catalog of Ultima games, they've been passed around. And funnily, SWTOR has been passed over to the current Ultima Online and Dark Age of Camelot developers, Broadsword Online. Yes, which is run by former Mythic Entertainment co-founder and BioWare VP Rob Denton, who previously worked on SWTOR in its early days. So while that was announced, it was kind of theorized that there was going to be layoffs over at BioWare. That has happened, although we don't know how many people or a ballpark amount of how many people have been laid off. But it seems to be not so much Anthem, but more the kind of changing of hands with the Star Wars MMO.
Well, yeah, I don't know this to be the case, but from the amount of people they're talking about, and also I think some of the people at BioWare Austin, which is the particular site that was in charge of the Old Republic, some of them have moved over to the new company and will be transferring, and then other people seem to be laid off. So I'm guessing from this, not 100% sure, but I'm guessing that BioWare Austin may be closed down. That's in America, I believe.
no.
And then BioWare Edmonton, which is the one that I visited
Austin,
in Canada.
Texas.
And they're the ones that are developing the next Mass Effect and the next, what's the fantasy one that they do as well? Name's escaping me today, but
Dragon Age.
So yeah, those are the two games that are currently.
How'd you forget that?
I don't know. Generally being developed by Edmonton. Maybe I want to put it out of my mind for a reason. Anyway, but yeah, like they're the two games that are being developed by BioWare Edmonton generally, and Anthem was developed by them as well. So I'm guessing, yeah, as you say, unrelated to the development of Anthem, but possibly them downsizing and closing the Austin studio and maybe moving some people from Austin back to Edmonton, moving some on to the new company that's continuing to work on SWTOR, and possibly closing down Austin. Now, I don't know why that hasn't been reported, so maybe that isn't the case. Maybe I'm mistaken on that. But the numbers of people and with people moving on, you would have thought that sounds like what they're possibly doing to downsize BioWare a bit, basically. So, yeah, but it means BioWare is a vastly different company to what it was a few years ago as well, with people moved on and people moved about and stuff. So,
yeah, and also like the Austin, Texas. I mean, I know. I think in the days of kind of what am I thinking of? Deus Ex, like the first Deus Ex game. I believe Texas was kind of the place to go for your tax breaks to set up new companies, but it was also a very crap place to go to set up your companies. If you've ever read into the early days of the development of Deus Ex, and there was a big glass building that was purchased, which everyone just couldn't see their screens because CRT monitors and glare through glass windows, and then people were just putting up like blankets over the windows and burning up because of greenhouse effect and all this kind of stuff. So setting up in the desert isn't a great idea, but tax breaks are great, and that's why everyone goes to Canada now, because Edmonton has
people in glass houses shouldn't make those glass houses in deserts.
shouldn't make video games.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of tax breaks in Canada at the moment, and it has been for a long time. A lot of studios started shifting over there. Ubisoft, EA, Activision, loads. So it fully makes sense, and it's been a lasting trend since like 2011, since around about then. So it's been going on for a while. So I can see why they'd be shutting down Austin and going to Edmonton instead. Lastly on the news, and we'll just kind of brush on this, I thought this is interesting because this was announced today that The Sims 5 looks like it's going to launch as a free-to-play title and follow more along the lines of, say, a Fortnite-type monetization.
Makes sense.
Model to that game. This is all from the Sims community that's been posted, and it's because EA posted a job listing looking for a head of marketplace and monetization for Project Renee, which is described as a free-to-enter game, which is believed to be The Sims 5, and would totally make sense because, I don't know if you know about this, Tim, Sims 4, they've recently kind of abandoned the idea of that is now an EA exclusive game. You have to have the EA launcher and all that kind of stuff. They just put it out and everything again. It's back on Steam, but they went, hey, it's free-to-play now. And you have to buy all the DLC and stuff if you want that, but the main game itself is free to play. It's available on Epic and Steam.
Are we sure Project Renee isn't the much sought after and vastly overdue Hello game?
Could very well be. I don't know.
Is that before your time?
No, I used to the Madonna with the
Madonna with the big boobies.
Yes, I remember it. I'm just trying to find where is it? I've lost the music, Tim.
Oh,
it's because it's under A, not H. There you go. Okay, so we'll continue the rest of the news with this tune in the background. Lovely. Project Renee is believed to be Sims 5. Totally makes sense because Sims 4 is now free to play. You can download that, and then all the DLC and stuff you have to purchase on top. So it would make sense that they took the old game that they've made their money through the huge Sims community, and then went, let's see how this does as a free-to-play. Will we get more money through sales and of DLC and things and items on top of that? Let's give it a whirl. And I'm assuming it works out well enough because... Tim, listen to me carefully, for I was only playing once. It's good music, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Na 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 na. Yeah, let's turn it down. Yes, Sims 5. Anyway, that is all the news we have for this week. And in fact, that is all the show we have for this week. So let's go through and say, before we get out of here, I'm going to say, hey, do you know that you can buy merchandise to support this here show and this here website of bigredbarrel.com over at tpublic.com/store/BRB. Over there, you can find many products, not just t-shirts. You can find masks and you can find phone cases and mugs and coasters and stickers and whatever you need. They're probably on there. Baby grows, hammocks, swans with BRB written, blazoned on the wings and necks.
You get in trouble with the Queen. Oh, sorry,
put it in the to-do pile. Wait, a swan's still protected?
Yes.
If she's carked it?
Yeah.
Why?
Everything that she owns was handed down.
King doesn't care about swans.
That's how it works.
King Charles hates swans. Everyone knows that. Bloody long neck kid. Wrangle your neck.
No, that's geese. He doesn't like naughty geese because they keep on stealing his keys.
Oh. And his crown. Like the Untitled Goose Game, starring King Chuck, our king, over here in England and the rest of the UK.
Bloody goose stealing my crown.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah, sorry. tpublic.com/stores/BRB over there. It's not just BRB stuff. We've got other things like to do with video games and tabletop games. And so we got Sonic and we got flipping. Tim made a very weird Elden Ring t-shirt.
Yep. Very strange.
I still don't fully understand. It's got something to do with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, something to do with that tortoise joke. Who knows? Tim's weird. We've established this.
I don't think we sold any of those.
I like
so
the Tabletop
it's obviously
Tuesday.
too obscure.
We maybe just get rid of it, Tim.
Maybe.
We got the ones with Dan's face on it. He gets very upset when we don't mention that. We got the Eating My Dust t-shirt, and we've the Tabletop Tuesday ones is recommended. I like that one. It's the meeples and the kaiju fight and all that kind of stuff. I've got it in orange. It looks really nice in an orange, especially with summer being
I
here.
prefer
It's
it in
nice
red,
and sunny
but still.
outside. You want a bright color? No, red is for the autumn. Orange is for the summer. An orange or a yellow, something bright, something to go, I am here in the sun, the summer sun, Tim. A yellow, an orange, who knows? The choices are limitless if you pick one of those two. Maybe an aqua blue, who knows? It's really hot in this room.
Okay.
tpublic.com/stores/BRB. Go there and buy stuff. And also, if you're looking for something, if you're out and about in London and you're wandering around the kind of North London area and you're thinking, wow, here I am in Stoke, Newington on the day after a Monday, that being a Tuesday, which is a Tuesday. What could I be doing, Tim?
You could be coming along to one of our Tabletop Tuesday events. Most weeks we have a different feature game. If you play that feature game that evening, you have a chance of winning a copy of the game at the end of the evening. I will be announcing this week's game tomorrow. I was trying to see if we could get a guest in time for next week. That's now happening later in the month. But also, there might be another guest coming this month. So we might have two guests this month. So I'm going to have to juggle things around a bit. But
is it me?
Yeah, you.
I'll be the guest.
You're not a special guest. You're just a guest. Sorry, Coleman.
I want to be a special guest.
Okay.
Special guest Coleman.
Special guest Coleman. Yeah, well, you should come some week. But hey, anyone doesn't know, you can join us any Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. You can find more details on the top left-hand corner of Big Red Barrel. I should hopefully have that up by the time you are hearing this podcast. Or you can check the left-hand side of I already said that bit. Or you can join meetup.com, join the over 2,000 members we have on meetup.com, search for Tabletop Tuesday on meetup.com, or just come join us any Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington.
That is Tabletop Tuesday over at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. Be there every Tuesday from, what are we saying, 8, half 7, 6, 4.
8 o'clock.
Get there for 4 in the afternoon.
7:30 for an 8 o'clock start would be ideal. That's the ideal time. You're welcome to come a bit earlier. You can come a bit later. People do.
Yeah. Yes. But if you get there for 3:30 and you are steaming drunk by the time Tim turns up with board games, more fun for you.
Less fun for me.
Tim. Speaking of which, maybe looking to move to North London kind of area. So maybe Tabletop Tuesdays are back in my future.
Woohoo!
They're really hard to get to when you live in Greater London.
Greater London isn't actually greater. That's the secret. It's actually lesser London.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
Yeah.
Yes, Toria London. Boris Johnson kind of area.
Ruislip.
Even though he does... we're going to go politics.
Damn you, Ruislip.
Not a thing. Yes. He's out in me, but I'm already gone, so it's fine. So yes, that is Table Chips. You can, if you have enjoyed this show, you can go over to bigredbarrel.com. You can leave us a comment there. You can go to our Discord, which there is a link on our bigredbarrel.com website. There is also a Facebook and a Twitter at Big Red Barrel, and there's a YouTube called Big Red Barrel TV. Over there, you can ask us questions. You can give us feedback. You can say whatever you want. You can say hello. All right. Hello.
Hello.
Going to Tabletop Tuesday, Tim? Oh, I'll see you there. Ezra Miller. It's me. Brought my film out, The Flash.
Perfect.
I'll be coming to play
Miller
some...
impression. Well done.
Hello, I'm Ezra Miller. I'm coming to play some Crocodile. I think you'll appreciate it. Lovely. Have you seen The Flash, Tim?
No.
Have you?
No.
It's pretty good.
I'm
Bit
Batman.
ropey. Pretty good, though. Do you like Michael Keaton?
No.
He's here, too. You want to get nuts? Whee. Let's get nuts. All that stuff. What was I doing? Oh, yes. You can ask all those questions. You can go ask us questions. We're out of questions. We've actually run out. We've been trying to purposely run down the bag so we can ask for new questions. So let's ask for new questions, and you can go give us those, suggestions over at our Discord, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and on the website as well. And, of course, links to all those things that I have mentioned are available in the show notes of this here episode. So whatever podcast player you're listening to, scroll down, look at the notes. Links are available. While you're also in your podcast player, if you could give us a review in whatever format you can, that would be most appreciative. We can read them. Most of them get back to us. I believe we got a wide array of podcast review options available to us that get back to us, including Podcast Addict, iTunes. Apple Tunes. There are lots
Apple
of ways.
Tunes,
Acast, Apple Tunes, Apple Podcasts.
I think that's a flavor of cough
Stitcher.
things, but yeah, cough sweets.
Apple Tunes for when you've got a cold after the summer sun. After you've been wearing your yellows and your oranges and the winter months are upon you, get some Apple Tunes for that cough, Tim. But yes, go to all those places, leave us reviews, and do all that kind of thing. On next week's show,
Also, I was going to say, just because we always forget to mention it as well, like we've picked up quite a few people on YouTube in the last week or so, and we always forget to say the whole smash that like button. We don't want you to smash our like button because we'll need that for next week. But if you caress it gently and join us on the YouTubes, that'll be good. Just gently push it, nudge it, tickle it. Tickle our like button.
Yes, make sure if you are watching on YouTube and you're not subscribed, hit subscribe. If you've not hit the bell icon, hit the bell icon, because sometimes YouTube, and I can, people used to say this and I never believed it until it started happening to me. You could follow someone, you could be watching them week to week, and then all of a sudden you would just go, why has this person stopped putting out videos? Mm-hmm. Like, I like Kid Icarus. I thought Kid Icarus stopped putting stuff out for like 8 months. And then one day his videos appeared again and he went, hey, a lot of people saying they're not getting my videos, make sure you hit the bell and you will get notified. And sure enough, I missed like 10 videos from the guy.
Yeah, I was speaking to a friend of the show, Rick, last week, and I didn't realize that he was still putting out videos. I thought he just stopped. And no, he was like, you haven't watched my videos for a bit. I was like, no, I thought you stopped.
See, I know all about Strange Plays videos because I've got the bell icon. I hit the bell icon. I get the notifications.
Yeah.
Yes. Ring-a-ling the ding-a-ling, as some people say. What people? Annoying people, most likely. YouTubers, we call them. Anyway, we're not YouTubers. We're podcasters. We just happen to put the show out on YouTube because I think 4 people asked us to. And we just carried on because I clearly have no regard for my spare time.
Glutton for punishment.
So, nothing planned for next week. I haven't got any games for next week. You got any games for next week? I'm sure we'll find
As
some.
I said,
There's a Steam
I'll put
sale
it
on
out
after all.
there for what flat screen games I'm playing. I'm probably going to have my hands full with a bit more VR stuff, but to not at the risk of
I didn't lose my headphones. Shut up, Tim.
at the risk of not boring everyone else with all of my VR stuff next week. Like, tell me what flat screen game that you most want me to play, and that will encourage me to play a particular one. It may be Anthem. It may be any of the others I mentioned earlier in the show. Let me know, and I'll see which one I play first, or I'll just start playing one this evening and go from there. But we'll see.
I'm gonna play some more Final Fantasy, but I'm gonna see if I can find like a. I mean, there's going to be deals in the. I want some Steam deals to be playing on my Steam Deck, and I don't know. I could do with a new fighting game. I kind of run my course on Street Fighter.
Really?
Now. I could do with something new.
I'm still playing Street Fighter and enjoying it.
Yeah, I enjoy the single player stuff, but it's quite repetitive, and I don't enjoy getting my ass kicked over and over again online.
I still haven't tried online, to be fair. So
to the online.
Keep on meaning to actually go and like learn one character really well and learn all their combos and stuff, and then I'll go online maybe. But I haven't actually got to that yet. So yeah.
Oh, Dan did say if he returns from Saudi Arabia next week, he will be playing the new F1 game, I believe.
Yes.
So until then, this has been episode 548 of BRB UK. Hopefully, we're all back in full force next week. If not, I'm sure maybe Tim's off next week. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? We're rotating all the time. But I have been Coleman.
I might have been Tim.
Dan has been Chaos because he's not been here for like 1,000 years.
Yes.
Until next week, dear listeners, thank you very much for listening. We hope to hear from you next week. And of course, I will say goodbye.
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
Because even though I don't think the listeners got quite enough of hearing you talk about Street Fighter for 40 minutes of a podcast a couple of weeks back. So I thought I'd add a little bit more of my own 2 cents. Don't worry, we're not going to